Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How goes it?
Alhamdulillah. How is it with you?
It's kind of chilly here, but feeling good. Have you talked to Aaron? He's got the link and everything. He's gonna be able to join us.
I texted him last night, make sure, he sent me his bio.
Okay.
And and I sent him the link. So he confirmed he received it.
Okay.
So inshallah, we're good.
All right. Excellent. Excellent.
I got on my headpiece that the system prefers.
Okay. All right. So you can blend with your background and not go in and out.
Yeah.
Good.
I can't tell which was right and left. I'm looking at on the screen.
Yeah, that's weird. Sometimes you have to orient yourself.
So let me get this over here. So remember, I have to edit all this out. I'm here getting dressed.
Right.
Well, it's cold here too. It's supposed to have been 70 degrees yesterday, and I was looking forward to it. I'm going to Juma in the sunshine. And I happened to look at the weather and I said, oh, wait a minute, it's not going to be 70. So I kind of adjusted down, it's going to be in the 60s. That's how it was 40 degrees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's supposed to get 70 here tomorrow. So maybe you guys will get the same thing. But
yeah,
we were in the 40s yesterday.
We're looking for a warm week, coming. And if inshallah we'll get it.
I hope so. I need it.
We'll see. We'll see.
These old bones need some warming up.
Listen. I got to aching and I was like, what happened? What's going on? And I finally said to myself, I had never had that kind of ache before. And I was like, could it be arthritis? Does it come on you just like that? Your body just start aching?
I imagine it can.
Well, it surprised me because, we have, many of us complain about a particular knee, my knee acting up, we favor a knee, but the body aches, I have been spared that, except this maybe feels itchy, I was ill. I was like, what you say? What? No, say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so. And then it was raining outside. I think that was something Thursday. Wednesday or Thursday, it was raining. I said, I am actually having pain. It's raining and I am hurting. Note to self. I started writing it on my calendar. What are you doing? Oh, okay. Oh, the Kupa yesterday. If you go to AtlantaMasjid.com and listen to the Kupa, it was absolutely excellent. What
did he speak on?
He talked about staying on the path. And so it was part 2 of last week he did one, yesterday he did 2. But he really just kind of talked about how we get off the path. It was so good. So good, just so good. So I highly recommend it and share it with others. We don't give the shaitan enough credit. And we busy just roll it on like he don't exist, but he does. And he talked about, he said, the shaitan, he said, he kept comparing it to the conversation that Allah and the shaitan had when Allah kicked him out of paradise. And so the shaitan said, I'm gonna wait, he said, on the path. He said, so if you thinking that, you got to go over here to see the shaitan, no, he on the path.
Mm-hmm.
He said, in fact, he's sitting in the middle of the road. So you got to call him out, be conscious of it. He don't, his stuff is weak, but you give him the edge. That's really good. I had one of my son to hear it, and he came by to visit yesterday. I said, see Allah, because I made dua. I said, ask Allah. I wanted him to hear it. He literally stopped. He said, my mama want to come and visit. So just like that, Allah answered my dua, just that quick.
Mm. Did you see the email I sent out about the AKAs opening credit union in Chicago?
I saw that.
Yeah, I thought that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, because that's Kamala's
Right.
sorority, right?
That is correct.
Oh, she empowered them to the nth degree. They was like, we can do anything.
Right.
So let's get this money. And that's what it takes, that you can take your connections, and do something with it. Because they got to connect right there.
Exactly. Yeah.
You didn't ID anything?
No. I just click right on. I went to his email and then just went down there where it says Zoom and
Sister Rashana?
we're gonna
Get
get her.
on mute.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullah barakatuh. How are you this morning?
Alhamdulillah, I'm well. What about
Alhamdulillah.
yourself?
Alhamdulillah. Yes, I heard that kupa yesterday, sister.
Oh,
It was right on point.
yes,
right
yes.
on.
It was one to share.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
It was
ma'am.
one to share.
Yes.
And one of his, I had to go up to him. I said, all right, Suleiman, I said, that was excellent.
Yes, it was.
That was excellent.
Dynamic. Yes, it was.
And he was in good spirits, rocking and a rolling, boy. He said last week, he said, we had fun up in here. I have to go and listen to last week's too, because I know he was on point yesterday.
Yes, ma'am. I'll probably go back and listen to them back to back because it helps to review. Like you were saying earlier, sometimes we take these things kind of passively. I won't say
Yeah.
for granted, but passively. And it serves as a good reminder.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Allah says, remind them.
Yes.
So we hear the reminder and keep trucking. Then wonder why we got hit with a truck.
Oh, let the truth be told. Yes, ma'am.
Brother Rashad is with us. Brother Aaron just joined.
All right, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Brother Rashad. How are you this morning?
Alhamdulillah, sister. Ready to go.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Brother Aaron. How are you?
I'm excellent.
How's the family?
Everybody's good. We in motion on Saturday morning, bright and early.
Yeah.
So we might hear some noise every now and then with my son,
Okay.
but it's all good.
Yep. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Imam Talib.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Imam Talib, what's up, brother?
Assalamualaikum.
What's
What's up?
what's
up, family?
what's going on, champ?
Hey, look, your brother gave the cookball yesterday.
No, I watched it online. Yes,
Oh,
sir.
you okay? Alhamdulillah.
Yeah,
Alhamdulillah.
it was good.
It was good too.
Yes, sir.
Matter of fact, I thought when he gave that second part, I thought he was trying to take over my job as executive director. Man,
Yeah, he knew what he was doing too.
Yeah.
He put it there real smooth.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Yeah, we enjoyed it, man. It's good to see you too.
Yes, sir.
Leila.
Sister Bina, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah. How about yourself?
Good, good. Brother Rashad.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam ta'ala.
So we normally start at 5 after, it's 10:30. So we're going to give have a couple other people that normally join us. Sister Beverly, assalamu alaikum. Speaking of brothers, is that your brother Rahman coming in?
That's my brother. I sent out a few text messages.
Uh-huh.
Assalamu alaikum. Sister Amira.
Rahman.
Alaikum, Aaron.
Assalam, what's up, bro?
Not too much.
Assalamu alaikum. Good to see you, man. Alhamdulillah.
Hey, walaikum
There
assalam.
you go. There we go.
Is that my
Oh
mama?
man, got mama there too.
Hey,
Assalamu
mama.
alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Oh, wow.
You know, everybody know now.
Happy birthday to you, sister.
You got one more day, but it's about that time.
That's all right.
Oh, you're supposed to start celebrating early. You gotta celebrate early.
All right. All right. Look, I'm gonna jump off this day.
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna take off this camera so I can listen. And Sister Amira, we'll talk later about one of my favorite sisters, Cassandra.
Oh, you know Sandra Paz.
I know it. I know it. That's my sister.
Yeah, we were talking about her yesterday. Wonderful, phenomenal woman.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna sit here and listen. Inshallah.
All right. Assalamu alaikum.
That's now.
So we're missing Rashid and Omar and a couple others. We have a couple more minutes. We got about a minute to start. And so I'm asking the class to send us any comments you have about this class, this experience, so that we can use it to improve. This was our first effort with this webinar. And so we'd appreciate your feedback. So if you want to email us, we'd appreciate it. We were working on a form for that as well, weren't we?
Well, I actually believe that Brother Omar actually sent out a survey form.
Okay.
It's probably a little bit different than your direct request for feedback. I think he had maybe 4 questions on that form, but yeah, we can talk to him about that and just get more integration on getting feedback. Because the one that you sent me, the Sister Bina sent in, was very informative. So that particular type of feedback is definitely something that we need.
Alhamdulillah. Yes. All right, it's 10:35, so we can begin. So let me just greet everybody with the greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the 6th weekly Graceline Community webinar on strategies for making your money grow 091, which is the remedial start. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and before we actually get started, let's I just want to remind you that this webinar is not investment advice. It is intended for information and entertainment purposes only. So if you be so kind, let's have the opening dua.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Amen. Bring myself back online. So again, thank you all for attending our weekly webinar. Our purpose is to remedy our lack of financial literacy. So today our topic is protecting your assets using insurance. I'm Amira Wazir and I'll be your host for today. And for time's sake, I'm going to save the recap for later. And we have two presenters today, myself and Brother Aaron Khan. So I want to leave time for Aaron and time for Q&A. So just a little bit about myself. I'm going to go first. I'm a licensed insurance broker with over 22 years of experience. I specialize in health insurance, and I represent Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, Humana, Blue Cross, and quite a few others. So there are two types of licensed health and life agents. One is a captive agent. That's an employee of an insurance company. And two, independent agents or insurance brokers, which means we are self-employed and represent many insurance companies. Our loyalties are to finding the best product for the customer. Aaron and myself are independent insurance brokers. So we are not tied into a specific outcome when we come to speak with you. So I'll cover the health insurance portion and Aaron will cover life insurance. So insurance is designed to make us whole in the event of a loss. So let's begin with what an asset is. An asset is anything you own that adds financial value as opposed to a liability, which is money you owe. In the world of accounting, assets minus liabilities equal your net worth. Examples of personal assets include your home, your property, cars. Let's say you into classic cars, your financial accounts, collectibles, gold, jewelry. Life insurance is an asset. So, but let me add health. In all of the reading and research that I did, I didn't see them list health as an asset. It really is an intangible. But I find that health, in my opinion, health is one of our most precious assets. Without life, it is difficult, if not impossible, to live without good health. Health is a vital part of our personal finance journey and directly affects our income. The American Journal of Public Health study titled Medical Bankruptcy, Still Common Despite the Affordable Care Act. The study lists the top 5 reasons people file for bankruptcy. So I'm going to go over just 2 of those, and if time permits, I'll add another. Number 1 was loss of income. The study found that this was the single most common reason for filing for bankruptcy, cited by nearly 78% of the survey respondents. That shouldn't be surprising, given that most of us rely on income from a job to pay our bills. Without income, we can't afford health insurance premiums. Second, medical expenses. Nearly 59% of respondents in the medical bankruptcy study cited medical expenses as a major factor in their filing for bankruptcy. I don't want to go into information because there's just so much information out there about insurance, health, and life, but I want to just go into some solutions, offer these solutions. 7 ways to ward off bankruptcy and afford your health care. We don't see enough of this, I don't think. Solution number 1, the disability insurance is our solution for loss of income. So I ask this question all the time, can you afford to live if you get sick or injured and you don't die? If you die, that's one thing. But if you're living, and you have no way of replacing that income, how do you make it? How does your house stay afloat? So the answer, as I said, is disability insurance. The policies can help protect your financial stability if you become disabled and can't work. There are two main kinds of disability insurance: group disability insurance and individual disability insurance. Group plans offered through your employer or organization you might belong to. If your employer provides disability insurance as part of your benefit package, you are likely enrolled in a group plan. While some group plans replace a large portion of your salary, most only cover up to 50 or 60%. So in our minds, in the back of our minds, we should be reflecting, can I make it on 50% of my salary if I don't think I'm making it on 100% of my salary right now? So individual disability insurance is a private policy that you buy on your own. That means you pay for the policy, you own it, and if you have a disability, it will cover a portion of your lost salary. Unlike a group plan through work, individual disability insurance is portable, which means you keep it even if you change jobs, and the benefit is typically tax-free. If you're self-employed or don't have disability insurance at work, an individual policy can cover you in addition to your work benefit. Your work benefit only covers a portion of your income. You can use an individual policy to supplement the rest. In most cases, you get some disability insurance through work and then supplement with a private plan. A financial advisor can show you how disability insurance fits into your larger financial plan and can talk through the best options based on your situation. Last week, Edward County gave us an insight into disability insurance and how he was taught by a master. So, and I didn't want to leave off Social Security disability. It's something entirely different. Most people think of that. We don't really think about individual or disability policies at work. We talk about, so let's talk a half a second about the Social Security disability. And after filing, it generally takes 3 to 6 months for initial decision. So first you got to get all your paperwork together, you have to file it, and you wait up to 6 months for a decision. So if your application for Social Security disability insurance is approved, you must, the word must, wait 5 months before you can receive your first benefit payment. This means you would receive your first payment in the 6th full month after the date we find your after the date that your disability begins. That's a total of 11 months minimum. So what are you doing for income if you're waiting on Social Security? So if you had an individual or a disability plan, it may help you stay afloat, keep the lights on, keep the roof over your head. Solution number 2, whole life insurance with living benefits. They now have life insurance benefits that you don't wait until you die to pay. They will pay, you can withdraw funds from them from the face value of the policy while you're living if you have a critical illness. And so if you are diagnosed with a terminal illness, you can withdraw those funds and use them to live. Another solution would be critical illness insurance. It pays a lump sum benefit upon the first confirmed diagnosis of a covered illness or medical procedure. The cash benefit is paid directly to you to use any way you choose. Receiving the benefits does not change payments from any other insurance plan you may have, whether it's health, disability, income, or workers' compensation. So having those 3 in place can help you pay for your healthcare insurance, because if we had healthcare insurance through our job, when we leave or they're no longer paying for it, then many of us are stuck with COBRA, and COBRA rates are just astronomical. So those are 3 of the suggestions that I had to keep us from filing bankruptcy if we are no longer able to work. But there are a couple of other suggestions I want to make about what we can do, even if we're not in an accident. And so to stabilize our financial picture when health issues arise, or to prevent health issues. And first would be maximizing free preventative healthcare benefits. The fact that I sell life healthcare insurance, I follow up with my clients and I ask them, did you use your healthcare benefits? Did you go get your colonoscopy? Did you get your annual checkup? Did you get your dental checkup? And many of them say no. So, and then they wait till there's an issue. And so maximize your healthcare benefits. The old people used to say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And this is another suggestion, the federal healthcare centers. The Health Resources and Service Administration, HRSA, programs provide healthcare to people who are geographically isolated, economically or medically vulnerable. So if you don't have any healthcare insurance, the federal health centers are a place that you can go. There's a medical center right there in the front door of Atlanta Masjid. That is a federal health center. So you go there and you don't have the funds to pay, they work on a sliding scale, then they will treat you medically. And they also have a dental center, and I'm going to get to dental soon. So, but it's a place that you can go to receive excellent health care. So, and there are many of them located around the country. HRSA.gov is their website. I hope you came to the meeting with paper and pencil. HRSA.gov. I recommend it to my clients all the time who are struggling with the high cost of prescriptions and other issues. They need more care. And so HRSA.gov, the Federal Health Center, and utilizing alternative medicine. The statistics say 97% of seniors have a chronic illness. So every time something hurts us, we don't need a pill for that. We don't need a pill that we take every day for constipation. We can change our diet, add some other things, and it'll be better for us. So we need to utilize alternative medicine. Wisdom is knowing the difference between holistic medicine and allopathic medicine and when to use them. If you've been diagnosed with cancer, you don't need a cup of herbal tea. You really need allopathic medicine. So allopathic is great for diagnostic, surgical necessities, and holistic has its place, as I said, in healing, and it lacks the negative and debilitating side effects of prescription drugs. So major problem, and this is what I really want us to get to. A lot of my clients, of course, I deal with people who are turning 65, the majority of them are turning 65. And when they come to Medicare, a lot of them have very bad dental issues. They've got gum disease, they've got a lot of things, and they're really thinking that now that I'm at Medicare, Medicare is going to cover that. Medicare does not cover dental issues unless it's medically necessary. So let's say you were in a car accident, your face got disfigured or something, then you're looking at maybe getting your teeth redone or something. But Medicare, no dental benefits. So the dental neglect is willful failure of the parent or a guardian to seek and follow through with treatment necessary to ensure a level of oral health essential for adequate function and freedom from pain and infection. Many of us don't understand the correlation between our health and our dental hygiene. Neglect can cause infections in your teeth and gums. It can lead to tooth decay, gum disease, periodontitis, I just talked about, tooth loss, dry mouth, mouth ulcers, and other problems. But did you know that poor dental hygiene can even lead to Alzheimer's? It's an infection. Your gums can kill brain cells. These are things we don't necessarily think of. And I'm gonna repeat, Medicare does not cover routine dental care. So there are free or reduced cost dental and available at dental colleges, clinics, and federal health centers dental clinics. So I'm going to end there. Those are some of my suggestions in terms of maintaining our lifestyle, maintaining our world, our financial world, especially if we have some issues, health issues. And so I am excited to introduce Brother Aaron, and he's going to take it from here. And so let me do a little bit, just introduce you to Aaron. Aaron Kahn is a licensed insurance agent since January of 1992. Let me get my screen back together. Formerly a financial advisor, he has a bachelor's of business administration and finance from Howard University in Washington, D.C. He is and always will be a member of Masjid Muhammad of Washington, D.C., the Ali Khan Islamic Center, and since relocating to Atlanta in 2003, he was a member of the Atlanta Master of Al-Islam. He has had several roles in the insurance industry, ranging from a customer service representative to property underwriter, health insurance, claims representative, life insurance sales, sales training, sales management, and recruiting an agency owner. He is married with 2 beautiful children, is the proud son of Imam Ali Khan and Ophelia Khan, that we just wished happy birthday to, and the older brother of Rahman, who's with us today, and Ebony Khan. I had the opportunity to hear Aaron speak at a time to be grateful a couple of years ago, and I was really impressed. So I'm proud to present to you our brother in faith, Aaron Khan. You got it.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Good morning, everybody, on a Saturday morning. So thank you, Sister Mira. Of course, I'm a licensed agent, so I'm trying to pivot from what you were talking about and add on to what you were saying. When I talk to an audience, especially of Muslims, I pull out my notes like I'm a insurance imam, right? So I have them for a long time. So back in the late 1998, 99, I wanted to create a company called U.S. Muslim Life. And then 2001 hit. I kind of put it to the side with that name. But the mission statement has always been the same. And today we're talking about life insurance and protecting the growth of your wealth and your assets. So I'm just going to kind of go through a few things just to give clarification, because many people, not all, but some of us do not believe that insurance and life insurance is halal, or it is haram. So what I try to do from there is just explain that. So when you're talking about life insurance, I try to explain this concept called takaful. And takaful is an Arabic word meaning guaranteeing each other. So, and we see examples of this with the Amish. You know, if someone has a house that burns down, the community comes together and pool their resources. So that is a form of insurance. Takaful also means joint guarantee and the pooling of resources. So in insurance, policyholders cooperate among themselves for their common good. That's what insurance is. Every policyholder pays a subscription to help those that need assistance. Losses are divided and liabilities spread according to the community pooling system. Uncertainty is eliminated in respect of subscription and compensation. It does not derive advantage at the cost of others. So, and it also has a contract. So right there, those points eliminated being haram. So I wanted to mention that first. And later on, we'll have, I know we have questions and answers, so we can go into it in depth. The Quran, Holy Quran, also in Surah 21, ayahs 34 and 35, it also states, we granted not to any man before thee permanent life, and every soul shall have a taste of death. We all know that. It also says in ayahs, Surah 2, ayah 242, those of you who die and leave widows should bequeath for the widows a year's maintenance and residence. So therefore, it's telling us to have cash or have insurance. Now, if you have a lot of cash on hand, you don't need insurance because you already have the resource. Insurance is just a way of spreading the load amongst other peoples in the event that you have an issue. Also, from the book Islamic Climate for Business Success, our Imam W.D. Muhammad says, God wants us to plan for our future. He doesn't want us to have a situation where everything is by chance. We don't live by chance, we live for tomorrow. We are to plan for our children. So now we have eliminated anything haram. We got it from the Quran, our source. We got it from our leader, Imam Muhammad, our source. So that's eliminated. Now let's get into it. So Sister Mary talked about Social Security. And so I wanted to kind of go through some of the things as far as protecting, growing your wealth and protecting the assets. So when I'm looking on this call, I see most of us are baby boomers or close to it. I'm 2 years from it, so I missed the baby boomer generation. But we know, I heard a report earlier this week that Social Security, there are limitations now, and they're actually proposing for you to get full benefit of Social Security, the age is going to move from 65 to 67. And then those born after 1978, that is going to go to the age 70. So there's a theory that the baby boomer generation is taking all of the assets. And I'm mentioning all of this to lead into something. Also, in the news in the past couple of weeks, we know that if we go to the grocery store, the price of eggs have gone sky high. Why did that happen? I know that there are 3 chicken farmers with over 100,000 chickens. Those places have burned down. So that's one reason why the price of eggs have gone up, right? And when I saw that, it made me think about preparation. So this is all leading to protecting our assets. Another point, and this is trying to get us to be, thinking about it, because we all think about it. We hear it every day on the news. The national debt ceiling is $31 trillion as we speak. The New York Times 2 weeks ago said that the U.S. is on track to add another 19 trillion in debt over the next 10 years. So I'm going to get to something right here. Let me pivot a little bit. So not just with the food, the eggs, and so forth, the banking system is also going to change because there's been a squeeze on money. The debt is going higher. So this is what I believe and what I've been studying is that the banking system will change. They're developing the U.S. digital dollar. And if the actual money as we know it now, if that crashes, the whole system crashes. So what do we do now to protect ourselves? Well, I want us to think about there are 2 sources of income, right? That all of us have: people at work and money at work. What do we do? We should have both of them actually working for us, right? Here's another point I want you to consider. If you have any passive income, would you put in a system that allows your money to grow and it grows tax-free, right? Because the government also takes a lot of our money. So if y'all see, I'm kind of trying to move us towards not, I know the government is important to us, but how we protect ourselves and our old documentation to do for self. If we had that system, would you put more money into it where your money grows tax-free? When you get paid for any of your work that you do you put all of your money in someone else's bank? Think about that. We write checks on an account to buy things that we need in life. But you put that money in somebody else's bank. They get all of your money. If you own the banking system, wouldn't you want to run all of your business through your own bank? I'm sure we would all agree to that. Yes. Another point to consider when I talked about the government, when the government creates a problem, and I'm talking about taxation, they have a solution already for us. They've created qualified plans, the 401ks, the 403bs. Now the individuals We have the IRA, we have tax qualified retirement plans under the guise of giving you a break. But let's create our own break. To give you a break, all the government has to do is not allow us to pay taxes. So we have people in Washington, D.C., and on the tag of the car tag, automobile tag, when you register your car, they have a logo says no taxation. Was it no taxation? No double taxation, something of that nature. Anybody in DC, they can kind of confirm that. Do we really want that? So your wealth has to reside somewhere. Where would you prefer to reside? Real estate, stock market, or somewhere else? We find that's pretty much everything that we do. You either pay interest to someone else or you've given up interest to someone else. So how do we, and these are all things that I want you all to consider. And then when we have time for questions and answers, I have some solutions to that. Your need, here's another point, your need for financing during your lifetime almost exceeds your need for life insurance protection. You finance a home, okay, no taxation without representation. Thank you, buddy, Imam Tyler. That's what it says on the tag. So the need for life insurance, now I'm gonna switch over a little bit. There are three types of life insurance pretty much. You have term insurance, which is pure insurance protection. You all see it, they give it to you on your jobs. You have a 5-year, 10-year, 20-year, and 30-year terms. At the end of that level, it stays level. If you pay $50 a month, you'll be paying $50 a month for, let's say, 100,000 for 20 years. But once you become 20 years older, now the cost of insurance is higher. You pay a little bit more for that same 100,000. When you get to age 65, the prices are astronomically high. So there's other ways to combat that. So we have term insurance. We have whole life insurance. I consider whole life insurance pretty much as insurance that you use as you're living. So there's money, you know, you have some companies says buy term and invest the difference, which means that because whole life insurance is more expensive, but there's so many other things that you can do. It has a lot of living benefits to it. There are things where you can, you put money into it, you can borrow from it, and you become your own bank. And then there's a combination of what you call universal life insurance, and then there's different variations. The universal life insurance is whole life insurance and term insurance kind of combined. So I think I'm gonna end there because I have some solutions when we start having questions if anybody want to get into some of that, Sister Mary.
Let me unmute myself. That's always the first order.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Brother Aaron. You did leave throw out some meat on the table so that we can attack it and begin to ask questions.
That's I prefer it that way. So I'm just not talking. Because when I get a question, then I can go in the depth. So yes, ma'am.
So, but one of the things you did allude to, and we've discussed before, is the legality of life insurance. So the Muslim community, many of us have issues with the life insurance. Last week, we had Brother Hood Williams on, and you know Hood, and did an excellent job of making a presentation. And he alluded to the myths in insurance and gave us an example of one of his aunties that she had gotten to retirement and trying to be faithful to her religion. He didn't have the money she needed to live through retirement. So we can't just, what's the word, deny ourselves based on, you know, our belief that we shouldn't do A or B. You know, we should have some solutions. So your solution for not having life insurance is having what, cash or what?
So now if you have cash, let's say in Atlanta, we're very fortunate that we have a burial site where we can be shrouded and put right into the ground without a casket. So that eliminates a lot of the cost. So you may be able to be put into the ground for $3,500, $4,000. But we're fortunate. Most of the country have to get caskets. They have some other things that they have to apply for to be put into the ground. So the cost of that insurance may be, or that cost of that janaza may be 5,000 to 7,000, or even more, depending on, you know, if you're buying cars and all that, or having cars and flowers and so forth. And some people have that. If you have the cash, then you just write the check. Your family writes the check. Most people don't have that. So what I would think is that you buy insurance, you keep your cash to do other things. So you take a little bit of money every month and you buy your insurance policy for 10,000. If something happens to you, then your family writes they call the insurance company, they pay the cemetery, you know, $5,000 for the actual janaza, and then the other 5 goes to the family. And then with whatever's left over, that family gets that money tax-free. So now that the family member, the benefit, or what you call a beneficiary, does not have to pay taxes on that money that they receive. So if you have money, you do not need to have life insurance if you're willing to give that up. Now, here's the other thing. And I said this before. Let's say we have two sisters that have $1 million, right? One has $1 million in cash. One has a few thousand, but she has $1 million of life insurance. When you pass away, that family goes to that source to get that $1 million in cash. First of all, what's going to happen is the state, the federal government, and the state have to pay. You have to pay estate taxes. So now the family is going to receive about that estate tax is going to be somewhere between 50 and 57%. That's what you're giving up. So you're giving up $550,000 of your money that you've earned. When you pass with $1 million life insurance policy, that money is presented to the family, to the beneficiaries, or to a trust, $1 million tax-free to the home. So now, protecting your assets, what happens is now that family that you left behind has $1 million versus 450,000. That's a big difference.
Alhamdulillah. Were there any other questions? I don't want to start dominating. We've got a full house today. So, Muhammad Sharif.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yeah, this is Muhammad Sharif calling from Mount Vernon, New York. I was in the insurance business for a few years. Now we're going to definitely have to upgrade our thinking concerning life insurance. Just what Evie just said, I hope I don't hurt anyone's feeling, except on anyone's toes, but this is the thinking of ignorant, poor people. That's why we're ignorant. That's why we are poor, because thinking this way, brothers enlighten us. Why should you not have life insurance? Just as he said, when you get the whole $1 million tax-free, and you'd rather have cash money and pay for it, and get that, and the government takes half of that $1 million. So that's it. We got to educate our people, get life insurance. Got life insurance. This is how the wealthy stay wealthy in many cases. They look into how much is if you're 18 years old, you get married. So you're going to live for another 40, 50 years. look at your possible income that you have earned in those years. Now that's where they're saying they should look at your potential income and tell the person, now if you're going to probably make $10 million over your next 20 years, 40 years, shouldn't you have that amount of money insured from the time you soon you can afford it? In case you die next week, next month, your family will have the amount of money that you could afford to, if you got $100,000 or $500,000 life insurance, they will get that money almost tax-free the next day, the next week. This is how the wealth is stay wealth by insuring people immediately as soon as they get old enough to start working, making income. So we got to definitely orientate our people and teach them more about life insurance, the advantage of having life insurance. Thank you for taking my comment on that. And one other thing I would like to say, we need, I think, a better interpretation of where Allah says, provide for the widow. Now, I think we should, Allah wants us to think further. If you're providing 1 year of maintenance for the widow, what about the children? I think it should be understood that Allah wants us to think and say, you're going to provide a year's maintenance for your family, not just the widow, because the widow may be one person. But you have a widow and 5 children, you have 5, 6, 7 children. No, you got to provide for the whole family. So I just think, thank you for taking my comments. I hope I've made some sense here.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you, Brother Edward.
Yes, sir. Well, the Quran, it makes provisions for the children as well. This is that's why I wanted to open up with just those basics about the myths of why people don't get it, because I run into it all the time. And so sometimes I stay professional, but I really, especially the men behind closed doors, I get on them with no problem. And so, and we don't worry about the sensitivities. You're sensitive, but the fact is the fact. And we have to take care, ourselves, and then we have to take care of our community. So with the men, I kind of really go in hard. And I'm not worrying about their feelings. This is what has to be, because I've heard all the excuses and there's no excuse.
We go back and forth with the issue of life insurance. And I was invited to speak at one of the immigrant communities a few years back. And so, I went to talk about the Affordable Care Act when it was just being released or enacted, I should say. And the conversations turned to life insurance and whether or not it was haram, et cetera. So I asked this question. How many people in here own a home? And almost every hand went up. And then I said, how many of you own a car? Every hand went up. I said, how many of you have homeowners insurance? Hands went up. How many of you have car insurance? All the hands went up. I said, but when it comes to life insurance, you don't have any life insurance? It's the law. You have to have car insurance, and they won't let you have the mortgage without insurance, fire insurance, etc. I said, but you're afraid of breaking man's law, but you're not afraid of breaking Allah's law, when he clearly tells us in the Quran that we should leave, sustenance for our widows. And they were speechless. It didn't occur to them. I said, this logic, and I ask people all the time, about that. You have insurance on everything. You got insurance on your phone. You got insurance on your house, your car, your golf clubs, but you don't have insurance. Now, when it gets to taking care of your family, you seem to have issues about insurance. And so it's hypocritical to me, but, and I keep listening to just us talk about life insurance in terms of just leaving money for the family to sustain itself. But the book that I have for recommendation this week is called Closing the Racial Wealth Gap by Eugene Mitchell. So I want to add something. When I read his book, I was like, this boy on point. Well, the brother's on point, I'll say that. And let me put my glasses on, and then let me just take the time for a moment. And while I'm reading, you can formulate your questions and write them down in case you don't, so you won't forget them. So as I said, it's Closing the Racial Wealth Gap, 7 Untold Rules for Black Prosperity and Legacy. Eugene Mitchell is the author. And he says, and I'm just going to starting on the middle of the page, 3rd generation children. After learning that people of other cultures were insuring their parents, I learned that some people place life insurance policies on their children as another shrewd investment tool and long-term wealth building strategy. The more I researched it, the more I realized the many benefits of starting early. Policies on children are relatively less expensive because the child is younger and usually healthier, and there's a lesser probability of payout for many years to come. Yet the cash value builds up over a longer time span, perhaps 50 plus years. So the cash value side of the investment is very attractive on a permanent policy. Additional benefits include locking in insurability so that the child will always have a policy in place regardless of his or her health changes in the future. So I'm gonna skip a couple lines. He says, my intention is to ultimately pass these policies directly on to my children, with the cash value exceeding the policy face amount based on how they are structured. He says, so let me be specific to show you what I mean by that. He said, I purchased a whole life policy on my daughter when she was a year old, with a predetermined time frame of payment to be only 20 years, remaining that it will be paid in full at that time and in effect for her entire life. The policy cost me $143 a month. It is for $250,000 in face amount coverage from the expected buildup of the cash value in this policy, assuming the current dividend scale continues to be invested back into the policy. He said, I can expect to have the following: $35,000 saved in the policy that we will have access to by the time she's ready for college, or $66,000 in time for her wedding at 25, or $124,000 for a house down payment when she is 35, or $750,000 toward her retirement at age 65. So beginning to think of the life insurance policy is not just something that comes to us in death, but something that we can plan and use in life. Just like I talked about, buying life insurance with the features that will allow you to take out money from the face value if you're ill. We need to understand that life insurance is an asset that has many, many, many purposes. And it's not just, as I said, for leaving money after we're dead. It's something for establishing and benefiting us during our lifetime. So not everybody's all ready to talk, really.
Yes, ma'am. Sister Mary, this is Aaron. So this concept, I wanted to go into it a little bit deeper, but it takes a lot of time. So that concept is called becoming your own banker. So back here, my backdrop, I have it registered Infinite Banking Builder, and it uses whole life insurance, because at the beginning of the presentation, I mentioned that you make money, and then your second job should be earning money or becoming your own bank. So everybody should have 2 jobs: making money and being your own personal banker. That's the concept that brother was talking about. It's called, you've heard concepts called infinite banking. Everybody's, coming around people that just getting into insurance. Somebody showed them, so they think they know the world. But this concept has been around, McDonald's, Walt Disney, they all started their companies using the infinite banking whole life concept. You can call it being a personal banker. Like I said, infinite banking, private banking, family banking. These are concepts that are basically the same, where you can put your money, you can put it in a pool as a family, put it in a whole life insurance, insure the younger children. Then you put it in a trust, let the trustees run the cash value. So if anyone in your family actually needs cash for whatever, if they need a down payment on a home, we pull the money out of the policy and you put the down payment. So therefore now, let's say that person didn't have good credit. Now they don't have to go to a actual bank and get denied. They just go to the family or the family trust, borrow the money, so that they have a down payment on a home. So these are ways we get around using the institutional banking system by being your own bank. I have a whole course on doing that. It's just it takes a little bit of time to kind of explain it. So we all want to we all just want to have that money accessible to us. If you have a business, you need to borrow money. If you need to buy equipment, you borrow it from yourself. The onus is basically borrowing money from yourself and paying it back without going to someone else. So that's the concept of being independent within ourselves. And that's also here's the other thing: when you borrow your own money, you don't have to pay the taxes on it. So therefore now, taxes make up 30 to 50% of all of our income. If it's produced that way, we have to pay it out. So if you borrow your own money, you pay you're earning interest on your own money, and you're paying yourself back, and you don't have to ask anybody for it. Now, what is the downfall? Not even a downfall, but the issue is this: you have to be willing to take any extra income, and you cannot be afraid of any extra income that you have and put it into this policy. That's your bank. Instead of putting it in someone else's bank, put it in your own private bank. Does everybody kind of understand what I'm saying?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
I most definitely understand the concept as well as the process, because I've lived it without necessarily dating myself. I can recall, and many of you may, and if not personally, at least through your elders, I remember a time that the insurance agent would literally come knocking at my front door over in River Terrace, sold my parents a policy, and then on occasion would come back on a regular basis and collect the money for the policy. In 1976, both of my parents bought an insurance policy on me, one that I still maintain today. Now, they purchased that in policy not for my benefit, but for theirs, because they didn't think their baby boy was going to live long. And so they took out this policy. But when they realized that their son had embraced Islam and had changed his ways, they turned those policies over to me. Now, we're talking about policies that they purchased in 1976. When they turned those policies over to me in the late 90s, early 2000, there was at least $15,000 that was available on those policies that I was able to use. There was actually, it was 6,000 on one and 10,000 on the other. Now, one of them turned out to be, I guess, earn what you were referring to as a term policy, or some kind of combination, because it was some kind of policy that once I took the money out, that $100,000, not only did it reduce down to 90, but a few years later, that policy expired. And I think it had something to do with my age. However, the one that my father got on me, which was only $10,000, I still maintain that policy today. I still maintain it. I just got a report, I guess like a summary of what that policy looks like, and it has grown in value. Since getting it, I've borrowed against it more than once. Yes, I could have been a little bit more patient, had a little bit more money, but that's not the point. The point is this, is that I am 110% in full support of our people making sure that they invest this money not only in themselves, but also in their children. And because of what my parents taught me, I purchased 2 policies on my children, and not for any other reason but to be able to see it grow in value. So I am a heavy believer in this, particularly in building wealth. I can attest to the fact that you being the beneficiary of a policy is tax-free, because I've been the beneficiary on a policy where I did not have to pay taxes on it. So I would encourage all of us to look into this a lot closer, and to make the sacrifice. I don't want to go into too much detail, but because I realize that what may not be a heavy burden on me to maintain, it may not be the same for others. But I know that that $10,000 policy that I maintain, that my father gave to me, it cost me roughly it cost me less than $200 a year for that policy. The 2 that I just bought for my children, $30,000 each. It's less than $500 annually. It's for something, I can't remember, what it is. But, and again, that's not for my benefit, it's for the benefit of my family. So I am 110% behind you all. And the you all in this case is including Amira, because some of the instruments that she talked about, our family maintains as well. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. Brother Adam, your line was open for a moment. Did you have a comment?
No, ma'am, that was an error, and I'm sorry for the interruption.
Oh, no interruption. We want to hear from you. This is the accountant in the house, so we definitely want to have input from you.
Can I reserve and get in where I can fit in?
Yes, sir.
I was working on another client's return. Excuse me for that, but I'm listening and working on someone's taxes.
Okay.
But if there are any specific questions, I would be more than glad. I want to just back up what Imam Talib and Aaron said. Life insurance proceeds are not taxable. And so you're 100% right with that. But if
Let me
anybody
ask,
have any
let me
questions,
ask
let me know.
Ern, Ern, let me ask you this question. Because I know it came up in my earlier days when we were looking, when my wife and I were looking to purchase an annuity. One of the questions that I had was this, and I'm trying to remember how it was phrased. So, but I think you'll get the gist of it. When we were looking at an annuity, there was some talk about being able to justify, by example, if we were to take out a $2 million policy, that there would need to be some justification for that. If you were, for example, if you were at the time, I think I was in my 40s, and I might have been reporting $40,000 in annual income. So the question became, yeah, I may want $1 million policy, a $2 million policy, and may even be able to afford it. But there was a question relative to just how you justify that. Does that still come up in your conversations that you have with your clients?
Yes, sir. So what that is, I'm gonna answer your question, but I want to give some other educational concepts to that. So when you purchase a life insurance policy, I mentioned term insurance, I mentioned whole life. So term insurance, you normally can get several hundreds of thousands or even $1 million policy. And the cost is relatively inexpensive. The same, and reason being is that it may be for a specific time, for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, especially if you're 25 years old, 18 years old, 25, that'll take you. So the cost of insurance at a younger age is less expensive than if you're 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. So you can get a greater amount of insurance. As you get older, the cost of insurance starts to increase. So therefore, they'll give you a smaller amount of insurance, especially for what you're able to pay for. So when a company is providing several amounts of insurance, let's say $1 million or $2 million, they're not just going to give anybody $2 million. There's an underwriting criteria. Just like when you're buying auto insurance, they're going to ask you, are you driving to work? Are you staying at home? You had any tickets? You had any DUIs? All these different questions that they ask because the underwriting risk is higher. So what they're doing is in their underwriting criteria, they may say, we're only going to give you 10 times the amount of your annual salary, or 20 or 15 times the amount of your annual salary. So that's in each company's specific underwriting criteria. And most companies are very similar across the board, few years here and there. So let's say you made 100,000 at age 40 and you wanted 2 million. Their underwriting criteria may be 20 years, you would have been able to get that $2 million. Also, when you want to get more insurance like that 2 million, their underwriting criteria gets more gets serious. They want they may call Brother Adams like, well, we need your taxes, because they want to verify that you're making this amount of money, because within, let's say, 2.5 years you pass away, they got to give up $2 million. Now, these insurance companies, if you notice, insurance companies are the wealthiest companies in the world. So they actually insure the banks. the bank, the banks and they actually insure everything. So it's an underwriting criteria in which they may say it may be 10. If it was 10 times, they would have given you $1 million. Now, nowadays, for those on the call, you have children. There are many companies that if a person is under 50 years old and in good health, they'll give $1 million without serious criteria. But as you get older, they're like, okay. Now, here's the other concept. A few years back, I wasn't afraid to ask somebody. I said, man, give me $1 million and we're going to put it in your, he had $1 million. I said, give me half of it and we're going to put it in an insurance policy. The whole, like he wrote a check for 500,000. Let's see what this 500,000, what this would do versus your other 500,000. So now you can also grow it in that annuity and it's safe. And it's not going to be astronomical like when the stock market goes up 10% and it loses, 10%. It's not great fluctuation. It might give you just a constant 5% and that money grows over time, but it's either tax, and in annuities, most of it is tax, what you call tax deferred, under the assumption that your working years, you're paying more taxes than when you're retired, you're making less money. So the assumption is that your tax bracket will be lower.
But
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Aaron, you we can recognize Brother Adam. His hand is up for real this time, Adam.
Yeah, this is for real.
Tax, that was a tax question here.
Yeah. What you described, Aaron, I would put it in more understandable terms. In other words, they're buying an insurance policy, not a lottery ticket. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
No, it makes sense. Yes, yes.
You can use that one too, bro. You don't have to attribute to me.
Okay, I got it. Okay, checks in the mail.
Yeah, so here's my other question to either you or Amira. I have a annuity and it costs me, I believe, $554 a month. My wife has one. Hers is higher than mine. The value of her annuity is higher than mine. And she only pays $226. What's up with that? Why is
okay,
mine,
I'm gonna ask you this.
why
is
is
your wife
mine
older?
double the cost of hers with less value, and hers is like $750,000 and it only cost her $226, and there's 7 years difference between us?
Okay. Educational moment. All right. So she older or younger than you?
She's younger.
Okay.
7
That's
years.
the criteria. 7
Okay.
years.
7
Okay.
years.
You answered it. That's one of the answers. That's the underwriting
Okay.
criteria. So if you're, remember I said the cost of insurance, because an annuity is an insurance product, the cost of insurance is less when you're younger. Now, here's the other thing, and Sister Mira can kind of verify this. Really before the Affordable Care Act and health insurance, when I can recall, women's health insurance was more expensive than men's. Men's life insurance is more expensive than women. If everybody's the same age, same health, on equal terms, men's, there's a correlation to this. That's how I look at it. Because men don't go to the doctor as much. And this is on the backside as far as underwriting, what you call actuaries. Actuaries are those people in insurance company, very smart people that are pretty much mathematicians and statisticians. They create the numbers on the cost of insurance. They know that out of 1,000 people at age 65, 8 men will pass away versus 3 women. So the cost of the insurance, the risk factor on a man is higher than on a woman. Now, I was thinking years ago, is it because, and women's health insurance used to cost more than men's? Well, maybe if men went to the doctor a little more, we may live a little longer. Maybe our health insurance, our life insurance will go down, and our health insurance costs and women's health insurance costs will kind of close, the gap will be closed. But I think now doing ACA, Sister American or ACA and Medicare and so forth, the cost really doesn't matter. But I know years ago, it was women's health insurance was more expensive than men's. Men's life insurance was more expensive than women's. But then I looked at the correlation. Maybe, men, we don't go to the doctor as much.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yep.
I see Brother Rashad's hand is up, and then Adam. So we'll go Rashad and back to Adam.
All right, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
I have long-term, what they call long-term care, and had it for about 20 years. And of course, what seems to happen is now as the years go along, is either they want to increase the premium or lower the benefits. And this has been jockeying back and forth over the 20-year period. And there's not much one can do unless they get rid of the policy. They say, well, they will give you X number of dollars back and call the whole thing quits, which I think is not a smart move. So I'm sticking with it. And this seemed to be a pretty good policy overall. But I want you to, there was something that I read about long-term care policy and a hybrid that includes a whole life. And I don't know if you're familiar with this instrument or not. At my age now, there's not much I can do about it, but maybe for younger folks that have not, though, maybe considering long-term care, it sounds like this might be a way for them to go. I wish more these policies were like that, because right now I'm paying until I need it. But I think that this term hybrid policy, it sounds like a good move to me. I wish they had it 20 some years ago. But anyway, would you speak to that if you have some info? I would appreciate it. Assalamu alaikum.
One of the things that always, when I think about, I've been blessed to live through the last, economic tumultuous years, is how many financial products companies made up. And the 2008 collapse of the financial system worldwide was predicated on made up policies, made up financial products. And there really wasn't anything to them. They gave them big names, they sold them to people, and then they sold that debt to others. And when the smoke cleared, when they pulled the curtain on the whiz was nothing. There was nothing there. And so consequently, everything fell apart. When I hear the word hybrid, a lot of these insurance products, I'm not familiar with them. I don't get into them because of my concern about them being predicated on a lot of concepts that aren't really solid. And so the long-term care industry was relatively new a few decades ago, and they made some assumptions that they regretted. And they began to change over time. They had overestimated, undercharged, and they began to make adjustments over time and trying to make up. They had promised the moon and they weren't able, really, they found out it was taking the shirt off their backs to deliver. So they began to change their policy, and that's what you see. They changed it along the way because they couldn't deliver on what they had originally sold you to some degree at a lot of other people. So every time a policy renewed or somebody, went to buy a policy, it may have been different from a policy that was there selling 5 years ago. There are a lot of people with policies that are no longer available. The insurance companies sold them until they realized that it wasn't profitable for them to sell them anymore, but legally they couldn't do anything about it. So it had to honor, but they created new products and went forward with those new products. So I'm kind of thinking that's what's going on with you. The fact that you bought a policy, you actually had a contract and they were bound by that contract to deliver what it is that, your terms were. So you should still basically have what you purchased unless that policy expired and you renewed it and created another contract. So without seeing the contract that you're talking about, I really can't speak on. You have to read it and see what it's saying and what it's not saying. Then you can make a determination. But I do know that the long-term care insurance industry, has really gone through some changes, because anything new, you learn by experience. In Georgia, they started long-term care insurance just because of the drain on Medicaid. And so it's something that the state pushes, is the purchase of long-term care insurance. And if you don't really have a family member who's dedicated to taking care of you in your old age, you may need, it would be a good investment for you to have some kind of means of taking care of yourself. And so, Aaron, I'm just gonna pivot over to you. What do you think? Unmute. Aaron, unmute. Aaron, unmute. I'll put it in the chat. Maybe that helps.
No, I got it.
Okay.
No, what I was doing was actually looking up the hybrid long-term care. So I did hear about them as a writer to life insurance policies. I'm not an expert on the actual long-term care. I know that they try to agents or specialty agents try to sell it for individuals with high worth, for 400,000 or more, or have that type of money saved. But I'm not an expert on it. I know that they do have. I've now seen writers with the long-term care attached to whole life insurance policies. But other than the hybrid, I'm not familiar with it. So I would have to do some more research on it.
There's a brother in I think it's North Carolina, brother Latif. Now he sells long-term care, and it's a laborious educational process to even be able to be licensed to sell it. So yeah, Brother Rashid.
Yeah, you're right on point with that writer information. They during the time period where people weren't buying insurance, they were trying to get people to buy into certain types of policies, and they thought adding these writers on. But like you said, Amir, it was temporary for a period of time. It was for the benefit of the agent. He made money off of it, So once those things began to realize and actualize, then that changed a little bit. But I just wanted to say there's one thing about insurance that's really, really important for all of us to know when we start developing our financial plans for the future, that insurance policies should be your, if you have a financial plan and you say, well, in 10 years, I want to have $100,000. Well, you should have a $100,000 insurance policy just in case you don't make it, So insurance policies were basically starting out to be to ensure your financial plan that you put in place. But what happens with us and a lot of people, by not being financially educated, we tend to not really pay attention to that until the time comes. And so starting early, I think you guys mentioned that, preparing your children as well for that type of thing, as Tyler was talking about how his parents prepared, that is so important. to think in terms of if you have children and you want to have, you know, $200,000 or $300,000 in over a 15-year period of time, then you should have an insurance policy that matches that, just in case you don't make it to that time period. And that's very important to take into consideration. So this helps us begin to the process of financial education, financial empowerment, to take into consideration that insurance should be number one on your list as those types of tools that we use, because none of us are guaranteed anything. And I've had some serious experiences in my family where young people who lost their lives and we're not prepared to put them away, or their children have anything that they leave for them. So it's so important that this discussion continues. It's so important that it's incorporated in all of our financial thinking. No matter where we start, how we start, insurance must be a part of that conversation. And we must teach our children early on. The earlier you get it, the easier it is. And like I have a $250,000 insurance policy on my daughter, but I got it when she was 27. So it was easy. They'll call me with $32 a month, you know, so that's smart. But I tell her, what's your plan to have $250,000? So I have to keep on paying this policy. You know? So that's the thought process that I just want to throw in there. And I just wanted to say that. So thank you so much.
Alhamdulillah. But it's critical that we add insurance to the top of our list when it comes to purchasing. You know, we think about buying a house, we think about buying a car, but we need to look at the various different types of insurance and their purposes, like I talked about. Right. Critical care insurance, disability insurance. So last week, Edward was talking about disability insurance was more important than life insurance. So, and we can see when I give the figures about the number one cause of bankruptcy is losing your job. You know, you become disabled and you lose your job, you lose your income. So you're not able to pay your house note. You're not able to pay your health insurance. So we see that the problem is not so much in us dying. The problem is really about us living without the means we need to live properly. So many people are under the bridge today because of a health issue.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's important that we prioritize insurance and that we not get carried away with myths. We don't have a long time to go. I want to add one more thing just to show you the diversity of the insurance product. Let me tell you what, and I'm going to show you this book first. What is it? Let me see. Oh, it's not going to work.
It looks like a cutout.
But anyway, it's again closing the racial wealth gap, 7 untold rules for Black prosperity and legacy. So, and I'm going to drop in the middle of a paragraph. He said, in my corporate leadership position at one of the largest financial institutions in the world, with influence over the creation and distribution of billions of dollars through investments in insurance, I learned and gained experience in this area by watching what other communities were doing, how they were thinking, and what we have been missing. Using this knowledge, I founded the $50 billion empowerment plan. My team and I work with 1,500 Black financial advisors and insurance agents at New York Life Insurance Company, along with dozens of business, community, political, academic, and press partners, faith leaders, and other institutions. Working together, we had a demonstrable impact on wealth creation in the Black community. The vision was to expand and multiply what I had done for myself for others, using an underleveraged financial tool, life insurance policies, to build a collective $50 billion in wealth. 200,000 Black families times $250,000 of life insurance equals $50 billion in financial security and tax-free future income in 5 years. And they were successful. He was successful in doing that. So in the Black community, they created $50 billion worth of generational wealth through the insurance product. So we are really missing out by not understanding the versatility and the true power of insurance. So it's incumbent upon us to start thinking of insurance as something more than, if we do get into it, we're getting a final expense policy, and that's just enough to put us in the ground, maybe $5,000. A lot of our clients, when they come to me, they're 70 years old. Well, Mira, I want to buy some insurance. I said, well, how much are you looking at? Well, I'm thinking maybe I want to leave a legacy. And how old are you? I'm 70. There's no legacy you're going to leave at 70. Number one, if you're in excellent health, they probably won't sell you more than $25,000 to $30,000. So, and then the price of that is going to be astronomical. So it's too late to buy legacy insurance money at 70. You want to do this for your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, your children. This is when we start taking these policies to our families when they're young, just like Rashid and Imam Tala spoke of, putting those policies on our children and grandchildren. But I want to encourage you to get the book, Closing the Racial Wealth Gap. I've got it from Amazon by Eugene Mitchell, so that you can begin to see the versatility of life insurance. And at the very back, he has all of these resources about the various different organizations that have gotten involved in bringing money to the Black community, that in this $50 billion project. So we're getting close to the bewitching hour, 11:57. We like to end on time to respect everybody's time. We invite everybody to stay after we end to continue the discussion, but we want to respect those who have to leave and who have allotted, their day to other pursuits. So are there any other questions? Aaron, did you have a closing remark you want to make?
Yes, I just wanted to thank Brother Muhammad.
Brother Muhammad?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to ask another question. How soon would it be before we can retrain our people, reteach them about life insurance? How can we put that on the top of our list, like a second priority after education, maybe?
Well, we at Graceline we've already started. This is as I said, our beta effort. And we encourage you to go home and share with your family what the conversation today. You already have experience in life insurance, but to begin that conversation with your family, let's sit down and talk about money, guys, and begin it there. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to go to the top of the tree to get an apple. You can deal with low-hanging fruit, and our family is the low-hanging fruit. In fact, it's the student, the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he was given the message, he went home. First person he spoke to was his wife. So, we got a good good role model in that. Start at home.
Here's a quick takeaway for how much insurance a person needs. I call it the DIME concept, and this is industry wide. DIME, like the money. D stands for death and debts. So your funeral janazah will be somewhere between 5,000 to 7,000, and then you put your amount of debts. Put that in a column. Income. Take your income, multiply it. There are a couple concepts, but a simple concept is multiply that by 10. So if you make 50,000, multiply it by 10, that's 500,000. M is for mortgage. If you have a mortgage, if you pass away, you want to make sure that mortgage is paid or have the money to pay that mortgage. You can do what you want with the money, but so that's the M. If you have 100,000 left on your mortgage, put that 100,000, put that in the column. E is for education. So that would be cost of education now. Used to be 10,000, now it's about 20,000 per child per year. So let's say for 4 years, that's $80,000. If you have 2 children, that's 160,000. So you add that up, 160, 100,000, 500,000, and let's say you had 10,000 in debts plus your burial. So now you add that up, whatever that is, that's the amount of insurance that you need. If you have an employment, you can subtract the amount that they give you in your job, and that's the amount of insurance you need. So that's a basic concept of how much insurance that a person needs. Also, if you want to say that you want to build 100,000, then you have to sit down and find out how much discretionary income that you have, put away that extra money to become your own personal banker. And that's a concept that you know, we can help you with. And so that's all I wanted to say, just to give a quick takeaway. Also, what the brother was talking about in the book, and we've tried it several times, that's how you create endowments for our schools. People put money and insurance policies together, and you take the insurance policies and the amount that you have in the cash flow, you take it to the bank or take it to an institution, and you leverage that, and now you have a $10 million endowment so that you can pay your teachers, $100 million endowment so that you can pay for the retirement of the teachers. You can have a scholarship fund for $5 million so that you can bring underprivileged children to the school where they don't have to pay tuition. So these are ways that insurance can help.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so very much, Brother Aaron. It was a pleasure having you here, and a pleasure seeing you again. So do we have any other comments or questions before we have the closing dua?
Well, Brother, Assalamualaikum, do you have your contact information available? Maybe you put it in the chat or something. You're on mute.
You can email me at Aaron, Aaron, Khan, Khan, at B as in boy, W, B, legacy.com. So Aaron Khan at bwblegacy.com. My company that's registered is called Blackstone Wealth Builders. So that's where that comes from.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, Eric, would you repeat that? Again,
Yes,
please?
I'll put it in the chat too. It's Aaron, Aaron, Khan, at B as in boy, W as in wealth, B as in boy, legacy.com.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to close with just a reminder to look into disability insurance and critical illness insurance. They're very relatively inexpensive, and for the good that they do, it's a good investment. So if we're ready for the dua, if no other comments, then we can have the closing dua. Everybody is welcome to stay, but we like to close on time just to respect those who have to leave.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا حسنة في الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Oh Allah, give us good in this world, good in the after, and defend us from the torment of the fire. Ameen.
Ameen.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
Again, thank you, Brother Aaron. Next week is our final week, and that's on the week on Wills and Trust, and Imam Talib will be conducting that session. And so I'm going to ask everybody before you leave about your homework. The very first session we did, the orientation session, you were asked to find all your financial records and put all that information together in preparation for getting your budget done. So week 3, Brother Omar presented the 50-30-20 budget. It's on the website. And so now you can begin to plug in the numbers from the information that you gathered to create that budget. So is there anybody here that didn't do their homework, that do not yet have, at least if not a working budget, but a budget in process? Raise your hand if you do not have a budget in process that you can begin to use. Or did you think that exercise had no merit? Sister Bina? Your hand is up. Bina, your hand is up. And
Yeah,
your mic,
she's
your mic
admitting.
is, huh?
I'm admitting I don't have a
Right.
budget,
You
Oh,
asked, you
okay, wait a
asked,
minute.
you
but
asked people to raise their hand.
I couldn't get off the mute after I did that. But that's not to say that I'm not working on it. I haven't done it. But yeah.
The most important part of making our money grow is, one, we have to track it and we have to manage it. If we don't manage our money, it will manage to get away from us. You know, so you need to know where every dime is going. You know, there's a hadith about a woman who brought her child to the prophet, and she wanted the prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to counsel him about eating sweets. So he said, well, bring him back at another time. And so the time came and she brought him back, and the prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam counseled him. She said, well, why couldn't you have said and done that the first time? So he said, well, I had a problem with sweets, so I had to like go and conquer my problem, right? So that's the way I am. I said, now I am facilitating this, so I have to do what I ask everybody else to do. And I had done it a few years ago, gotten out of debt, and things have been running real smooth. But I want to really get heavier, to be heavily invested in stocks and things of that nature. I've been investigating goals. So I said, I'm going to go back through the process so that I can see how much money I have, and, you know, just begin to take the next step. So I have loved it. I have loved it. I found paperwork that I thought I lost, and I had a stock certificate. I didn't know what I had done with it, and it's really, really been good. And so I want to congratulate everybody who has begun their budget, and hopefully it'll be the tool to not only get you out of debt if you have debt, but it'll be the tool to take you to the next level of financial living, you know, so that you'll have the money to do the insurance policies, you know, if it's wise for you at this point in time. You'll have the money to invest. You'll have the money to make the next 20 years, the long-term care policies. All of these are things that they're more expensive for us now. So we're really going to have to be in terms of our money. And I remember my mother talking about when she was in grade school, and she was in grade school during the Depression. She said everybody in the class would pool their pennies, and nobody really had any money. She said we would just collect it. Whatever you got a penny, you got a nickel, whatever you had. She said we had enough money every day to buy a loaf of bread, bologna, you know, and sweet rolls. We fed the whole class. I mean, they may have had 30 cents, but they fed the whole class with that. That's not happening here anymore. So the cost of eating, the cost of living, the cost of health is astronomical. And if we're not managing our money, we're just not going to make it through this particular period of time. We got to get to the other side, guys. So I want to thank you for being here in the class with us. And thank you for the inspiration so that I can get my act in order to take it to the next level. You know, so.
And all that's going to be important for our conversation next week. So everyone has some extended time. You got 1 week to get that together so that when we start talking about wills and trusts, you're going to know what there is to put in there. It's not going to do you any good if you don't know what you want to put in your will or put in the trust in order to leave for your families, to be able to protect the assets that you have. So as your teachers, we're going to give you some extended time, Sister Mina, to get that information together. And I know that you're not the only one. You were just the only one that raised your hand. So so I know for the rest of you out there, get that stuff together so that you'll have a clearer picture next week as to what it's going to look like when we start helping you to prepare those documents that you're going to need for your families. All right, so assalamu alaikum.
Brother Edward, we didn't hear from you all day.
Well, you heard from me just a little bit when you asked me a direct question, but I was wanting to be as attentive as possible to the presentations. I mean, there are some minute things that I could add in the insurance, probably more on the life insurance side than health insurance. I never dealt with health insurance when I was in the industry, but I dealt almost exclusively with life insurance and trust for estate planning when I worked in the industry. And most of the information I heard today was pretty much right on point. There are some fine points when you start talking about, and the term that never got said that everybody talked about was insurable interest. And that's the underwriting process, is what are you insuring? And can you prove that there's an insurable interest for us, New York Life, or us, Atlanta Life, or North Carolina Mutual, or whoever? Is there something there for us to insure? And that's the underwriting question outside of health. And then how much do we insure? And, you know, Aaron did the mathematics. If you're getting buried and you're replacing income and you're saving for college and all those things. Well, you know, having worked with actuaries a lot and had to go in and fight for my clients in many cases, they use a discounting formula. So if you add those numbers up and that number is $600,000 and you're 30 years old and the need for the money is down the road, they'll discount those dollars. So when you're dealing, I'm just talking about us who are not agents, when you're dealing with your agent and your agent is asking you questions about needs, it's probably good to put in some contingency. If college is $20,000, add another 25% to that, because we don't know where college costs are going, especially housing for college students and things of that nature. Build in some contingencies, because those numbers, those raw numbers that you come up with are going to be discounted. They're going to be discounted back to today to account for the time value of money. And they'll use anywhere from a 4.5% to a 7% figure to discount those dollars. So $100,000 over, say, a 15-year period, you have a 3-year-old and they're going to start college when they're 18. You have 15 years to come up with that money. So discounted, those dollars is not going to be that $80,000 for 4 years. You're probably going to be getting, say, $45,000 to $50,000 of insurance coverage to cover them. So you want to make sure that you have a little bit of a hedge built in on that. And there are some very easy formulas out there for a family to be prepared for the kind of numbers they need, even before they talk with their insurance agent, to have a number in mind. The same thing goes if you're an individual business owner, and you, especially if you're your family's sole source of income or a major source of the income of your family, of being able to replace that income. And this goes for life insurance or long-term, short and long-term disability insurance, is can you prove an insurable interest? And Imam Talib talked about this. Amira, you touched on this as well. Where are the numbers coming from? So I'm pulling $40,000 a year out of my business, but I'm not just replacing my income, especially if I'm the primary person in that business. I'm also replacing the rent that's being paid, the facility that I'm leasing, the equipment I'm paying off, any bank loans that I had, for any of that kind of anything going forward. What if I have a secretary receptionist or somebody that, just tells my contractors where to go and where they need to be if I have outside contractors? How am I going to replace that income? So you have to get a valuation of your business. And that helps you even when you have to eventually go to the bank for a loan down the road, is having a valuation. If you can prove it to an insurance company and to their actuaries that your business is actually worth X numbers of dollars, you can prove it to the bank, because the insurance company will put a pencil to it that a bank will never dream of putting a pencil to. Insurance companies are very stingy with their money. And I've had policies for people rejected and had to go back and fight. And you learn as an insurance agent, I learned how to be a very good writer. Write the story of the people, how they built the business, what it means for their family, how it's going to pay for this education, how they're actually even looking for paying for their grandchildren's education. All that money means and all that value goes in. Then you can sell that to the insurance company and get a group of underwriters to sign off on it. And we we as individuals have to have that bent, especially if you're dealing with an insurance agent who has not been taught those skills. Sometimes you got to help them. You got to help them along of being able to sell why you need $1.5 million, because you're just not thinking about one generation or just replacing income to your wife, but you're even talking about maybe potentially having something there for your grandchildren in a generation skipping scenario.
Mhm.
And those type
Well,
of things.
that's a real interesting concept that that what it brought to mind for me is the insurance that we may have on our homes or on any other buildings that we own, that all of those policies come with some sort of inflation rider.
Yes.
So, but I've not heard of such a thing on a life insurance policy. And what I'm hearing you say is that we need to be savvy enough to add inflation riders onto our own insurance policies.
You can request that from a lot of the major insurance companies. There are a couple of ways that you can build that in. I mean, you can build it in almost, and I don't know the terminology exactly that they use at this point in time. It's been a few years since I was a registered agent. We had two options. I mean, you could actually write in a floater that raised the level of insurance based on review of that individual's particular situation. And there was a cap on the floater, right? I mean, you couldn't like bump it up, 100%, double it or anything like that. So there was a cap on it. But this was one of the things that would prompt an annual review of sitting down with that person and their policy, and it gave you a chance to write more insurance with them. Is that they were eligible to bump their policy up because maybe their situation had changed. Maybe they had another child, maybe they had another grandchild. And instead of doing an entirely new policy or just adding that child to an existing policy, knowing that policy didn't have enough money in it to cover what that child's needs are going to be, then you had the ability to add additional insurance without going through the medical, any of that type of stuff. The other thing, obviously, that was easier than that was that you could just purchase a rider, a guaranteed rider, that within a 5-year period of time, you could add $50,000 of insurance. Over 10 years, you could add another $100,000 to $250,000 worth of insurance by executing a rider that was in that policy. Usually the rider had a termination date. You needed to actually execute it by a certain date or it would fall off, but at least you had that option to do that. So then when you look at disability, and we used to sell this deal, we used to go push this deal because they loved us to sell disability policies. If we were selling, especially to private business owners, people that own their own business. What happens to you if you can't go out there? You're a doctor. What happens to you if something happens to your hands and you're a surgeon? I mean, how are you going to replace this income and all this kind of stuff? And we sold a lot of disability insurance like that, and especially to people in private practice or people who own their own business, by using the concept of before you renew, let's say they had group health insurance. Before you renew your group health insurance next year, let's set you up with a private disability policy. Let's get as much private disability as we possibly can so that when you get your group insurance, the group insurance comes with built-in levels, guaranteed. You pay that premium, that group insurance premium, you're eligible to, whatever, 40 to 50% of your income being replaced, that type of thing through a group policy. Well, if you're able to get up to 60% of your income being replaced in a private policy, and you mix that with the 40% that the group insurance policy is going to pay you guaranteed, you're able to replace 100% of your income that way if you become disabled. If you get the group insurance first, and then you go out and you try to get the private insurance underwriter is going to ask, do you have group insurance, disability? And if you answer correctly, they're going to ask you, can I see that policy? Can you get me a copy of that policy so that I know what you have? And then they're going to make sure that you cannot replace any more than probably 75% of your income. other words, they're only going to let you buy a certain amount of disability insurance, long-term disability insurance through them, which is where Aflac makes their money, because Aflac sells supplemental. So you don't need Aflac if you do it right, but if you do it wrong, then you got to go buy Aflac for the supplemental coverage, gap insurance, right? Like gap insurance on your car loan. Aflac sells gap insurance in the long-term disability area by making up that, say, 20 to 25% that's not covered, because people don't know how to buy their disability insurance. But if you do it correctly, typically you're going to get at least 95% covered. In a lot of cases, you're going to get 100% covered of that. So that's, and for people who are in private business, especially, say you got a company that's like 10 to 25 people, you're going to get your group insurance through some company like Paul Revere or, some little company, because you don't want to buy it from New York Life or Prudential or any of those companies, because they don't take it seriously. None of those companies take health insurance seriously. It's a loss leader for them. They lose money on health insurance, so they don't really service it. But a lot of the smaller mid-sized companies do take it seriously, and they'll sell you a good policy. And you're going to do an annual review. You're going to have the group insurance person is going to come to your office every year, and if they're a broker, they may come with a different policy, right? You may have had this company last year. They're going to come, hey, I got a better deal for y'all this year, that type of thing. So that gives you that opportunity to go out and get your own voluntary private insurance before you get the group.
Amira, you had to ask Edward if he had anything to say.
He's a wealth of information, and he drives home.
Oh man, that was real helpful.
Yes, the need, to have insurance, and that's the benefit of having an agent, because an agent gives you all that undercurrent information. When I go sit down with people, they heard the commercials, they heard the sales pitch, but the agent goes in, okay, let's see what's best for you. I got a new plan for you. I got all the plans. So I'm not worried about my commission. I'm gonna get paid. But let's say, I'm gonna switch you from the Humana to Aetna this year because Aetna's got a better deal, and I can make this happen for you, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So, and that's what's so important about having a knowledgeable agent, and not just buying your insurance off the television, off a telesales call. A brother stopped me yesterday. I was at the masjid, the restaurant next door. And so he's asking me about his Medicare plan and this and that. He asked me a bunch of questions. So I said, you have Medicare through somebody other than me? Well, yes, I bought it from somebody in Florida. I said, so that means that you use telesales, you took your money outside of the community. Whoever you bought your insurance from, they're not paying Zakat. Oh, I just lit into that, brother. Why would you go past a knowledgeable Muslim that you can see every Friday? No, I'm not going to cheat you. I'm going to always have the best for you. Why would you go to Florida and talk to somebody?
It's not you, it's me.
See? Why would you do? You don't even know that woman's. You over there spending your money with a woman you don't know. I'm insulted.
Yeah, it goes.
Now they're coming to you with questions.
Right. It all goes back to that thing of. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, Amira, they do me the same way. Someone called me up and asked me questions, and they're not my clients. And then halfway through the questions, oh, that's right, you do taxes, don't you? Shut up.
That's why you call.
Oh, I had a younger sister that brought her parents taxes to me. And she said she was going to, I said, you do your tax yet? Yeah, I went around the H-Town block. I put it out in my office. I said, that's haram. That's haram.
Yeah, people.
But she said next year she's going to bring it to me, right? Well, you get it all the time. People don't think, I guess we're not legitimate enough.
Yeah, that's Adam, that's part of it. The other part of it is you know them. And people are more secretive about their finances than they are about their sex life. They don't want you to know their money. If they know you, they don't want you to know their money situation. They would much rather talk to some faceless entity somewhere and get very bad advice, get totally fleeced, not get a good product, not get good service, than to admit to you they don't know, they need help. You know, please tell me what I'm doing wrong. I know I messed up. They don't want to tell you that.
That's true.
They don't want you to know.
That's true. And specifically when I used to be the man, you know, they want to tell me, let me know. They ain't pay a dime of charity.
It's, you know, it's like what Aaron was saying about, you know, when he gets people in private, he's able to lace into them because he knows where they're at. He knows they're not taking care of business, right?
Right.
He knows they're not taking care of business. But, you know, man, it's hard for them to come to you, even though you know, or they know that you know they're not taking care of business. You almost have to chase them down sometimes. You know, brother, I know you need some help. Let me help you. Let me help you set things right. They'll run from you. I got two cousins. Aaron, I need to send them to you, because all I do for them is help them file their income taxes. Because every year they try to cheat the system.
Oh, I don't want to.
I know you don't. But I got
to sign in my office. I ain't gonna lie for you, and I ain't gonna cheat.
I ain't going to jail for you.
Right, man. There you go. One of them got more children from other folks on their thing than law allowed. I'm telling you. But this is part of our community, part of the education issue we have in our community. The system is set up for us to take advantage of it, just like other communities take advantage of it, and to make it work for us. And we're so afraid of using the system properly, for good reason, because of what's happened in the past. There's some carryover from the system really treating us bad 100 years ago, 40 years ago, 80 years ago, whatever, that those ghost stories from Jim Crow and before that live on. They get bigger every year, and we don't take advantage of the system. The stuff that Aaron was talking about, setting up family insurance company, private bank, you know, all those things that other communities are taking advantage of to be able to control their own funds, grow money tax-free, all of those things, those are all open to us. Those don't take any big major steps. I mean, the information is out there, it's at our fingertips. We can do those things if it's the right thing for us. Every situation is different, so it's got to be the right thing for you. Those insurance contracts that he's talked about, most of those, I mean, I sold those back in the 80s. Single pay life insurance policies based on your age. You know, you could put $200,000 in a single pay and have $1.6 million in coverage, and it's paid up insurance. In other words, most of that $1.6 million is available to you. I think it's 80%, depending on the contract. Some companies are 50%. Some companies will go up to 80% of the cash value that you can tap at any given time. So when you do a single pay policy, you paid up that policy. So whatever it was going to mature at, had you paid it out month by month, year by year, it's already there in a single pay. So that money's simply sitting there, and all the accumulation on it is accumulating tax-free. And the payout is tax-free, no matter how you take it. So there's a lot of stuff out there that's available to us that we just need better education. You know, our 091 is a good start. We can get more sophisticated as we go, next stages, but I think this is a great start to getting some education out there. I'm going to be quiet now.
Okay.
We're all good. I see where looks like Aaron's getting ready to leave us shortly. So I want to make sure that I give him the greeting and of assalamu alaikum and my best to you and the family. As always, I learned quite a bit. The only thing I've not learned to do is to put notes on something other than the back of an envelope. So, but that's on me. But thank both of you all, very much, because this has been helpful.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much. And Brother Edward, I have been studying the disability. So insurance is so vast.
Yes.
If you don't specialize in something, one or maybe two things, you can be all over the place. I've done it all. I've sold businesses, but I always come back to life insurance, so, and even I'm just learning on the disability, and I take courses constantly about protecting your cash. So what you were saying, it's like right on point. It was just a training class. So thank you so much. I put in the comments that you all are all good at what you do. So thank you.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so very
Thank you,
much.
brother.
Appreciate you coming
Yes,
today.
yes, I gotta take care of my son. My wife left, so he might tear up this place. So I gotta. That's why I pulled him in. He was making noise. I had to grab him. Like, let me get him before he take off.
All right. Well, you're gonna take care of your fatherly duties, and again, thank you.
Thank you so much, and good to seeing you all again.
All right, and
come back.
tell your brother, give me a call. Give me my number so he can give me a call.
Okay, yeah, I'm ready to call them now.
Okay.
Talk to my mama. All right.
Give him the greeting for me, brother.
I will.
All of us, yeah. That's a handsome little boy you got there.
Yeah, you get it from his daddy.
How old is he?
He's
old is
8,
he?
about to turn 9.
Oh, okay. And you have another child too?
Yes, a 13-year-old daughter.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
She's doing well.
Alhamdulillah. All right then. Inshallah,
Okay,
we'll talk soon.
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, ma'am. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
All right, people. Well, it's been another good. Oh, where's Rashad at? Not Rashad.
Rashid.
Rashid.
Yeah,
Right
Rashid,
after
he had to leave. I think he has another meeting or something. But I was going to tell Imam Talib, I know you're going to be prepared next Saturday, but I want you to
Inshallah.
make special notice, get some information on the generational skipping transfer tax.
Okay.
This is for people that have grandchildren that want to pass to grandchildren and skip their children.
Mhm. Okay.
generational
Skipping transfer tax. Yes.
And Brother Talib, send me a text and I'll read up on it too. So I'll be your backup.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. That'll be something new for me. So now I've got a homework assignment.
Yeah. All right, generational skipping wealth tax.
It's a transfer tax.
Transfer tax.
I mean, it's a transfer tax. It's what they've done with the inheritance tax is they've taken when I was in the industry, it basically started at like $5 or $6 million that you had to start really worrying about estate taxes.
Right.
And it's like $2.5 to $3 million per person, husband and wife, that type of thing. Now it's it's $12 million and up.
Right.
Before you actually really have to start worried about it. Because there are states that have taxes, as Aaron said, there are states that have estate tax as well, but the federal estate tax is at $12 million.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a whole lot of people that have to be concerned about that.
That's right.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
But, still a lot of people they've already done things like with family banks and things like that to set their children up But then they start being concerned about their grandchildren. And the generation skipping tax is a way to get money directly to their grandchildren at many times, I think, a much lower even gift tax rate. And I can't remember, I don't have grandchildren. So it's been a while since I looked into it myself. I have no grandchildren. But I know that it was something that we sometimes had an opportunity to plug in, back in those times. I know the Hunt family here in Dallas used it because they had some children that had drug problems and they did not want to give the money directly to their children. They wanted to set it aside for the grandchildren in those cases,
Yeah, a lot of the children in general are nuts. And a lot of the grandparents are raising the grandchildren.
Right.
Especially in our community.
Yeah.
In a lot of communities, grandparents are raising children. And I like reading the Reddit series. When you write in and ask the internet what their opinion is about your personal story. And it amazes me how crazy people are and how dysfunctional their families are. And but grandparents get caught in the middle so often, and the children are adult children are so entitled. There was a story about the woman, her husband, not husband, her father, 60 years old, and getting married to another woman, 60. They both got about the same amount of assets, combined, they have almost, $4 million, and both of them own very expensive homes. She was outraged that her father would get the ideal of marrying. So she wanted the inheritance now. Give me the money now. So she don't get it, so the woman, the prospective bride, she writes in, well, what do I do? How do we handle this and keep peace? I'm telling her to mind her own business. You don't have to appease her, but she was so demanding in this, give me his income, give me that money now. And I don't want her in the house. I want the house. But it was like it was her money. And I said, these people are crazy. But that child was she was so privileged. It take your breath away. And this woman is crazy.
She's not the only one. I mean, I can tell you the story about a father who remarried after the mother passed, and both of his sons by his deceased wife knew that when the father died, that the new wife was going to inherit everything. I mean, that was already pre-planned during the time to be grateful. There was a couple that came to me that the husband and the new wife were concerned that after the husband passed, that it was already known that the children were preparing to put the new wife out of the house. So, those are, I would hate to call them common stories, but that's what they are. In the 90s, when my wife and I established our trust, the seminar that we attended that brought us to the attorneys that set that up for us, they told us about the number of clients they already had that trust were set up so that the children would not get any part of their inheritance until they cleaned up their acts, whatever that might have been, whether it was drugs or alcohol or the husband beating the wife or the wife beating the husband. All of that was tied to the trust. So if you got help, then once that was verified, then you would inherit a portion of your estate, and then they would have it broke up over time. so that they might not receive the full inheritance until they had proven themselves to be more responsible. But this that Edward is talking about, I'm not ashamed to admit that I had never heard of it until 10 minutes ago, and just Googled it 5 minutes ago and saw where it's actually a thing.
Did you doubt Edward?
No, I mean, it is actually, they got a whole lot on generational skipping transfer tax.
Yeah.
So, and it only shows me, and I think it should show us that, and Aaron just mentioned this before he left, that this information is so vast that there is no one person that's going to know it all. And I guess, that's why they have financial advisors who are licensed, so that you don't get, people like myself, out there trying to push a product that we ain't never even heard of, I mean this in the best way. And again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. This is why I keep coming on these calls, because I'm going to learn something. I don't know it all. And the minute you start thinking that you know it all, people like Edward and Adam and Amira and Rashid, they're going to stop telling me stuff because I already think I know. All right. So, but thank you for this. I will make sure. I don't know if I'm going to touch on it because I don't know enough. I probably will learn just enough about it to get myself in trouble.
That's why you got Adam as a backup.
Yeah. Okay. Well, trust and believe I'm going to call on him for that reason.
But you have to do what I did. In the scriptures, it talks about when Allah told Moses to go to Pharaoh. Moses said, "Well, I'm kind of scared of that. I started." He said, "Send Aaron with me." Aaron was his backup. So I got Aaron up today on the call. I said, "Let me get Aaron with the life insurance, because that's not my forte.
Right.
I sell some life insurance, but I'm not the expert on life insurance. I don't understand all of the ins and outs on it. I do basically burial insurance, and I understand health insurance a whole lot different. This is what I specialize in, specifically Medicare. That's the lowest hanging fruit on the tree. And so I love it. And so many people come to Medicare who don't understand anything about it. And then the other thing I love about Medicare is there is no premium to these policies in 99% of the case. So how is it you can come to somebody something, they have to have it, or else they get penalized, and it don't cost them anything? You tell me I can't sell that. Tell me I can't sell it.
So
Look,
Adam,
it sells itself.
It sells itself. All I got to do is educate you. I don't have to sell. All right, now, so which one of these you think be best for you? I've showed you 3 different policies, explain them all to you. Pick out the one you want. We're gonna sign the application. Assumed close every time.
Right. Yeah.
So Adam, when you hear me start stuttering next week, like Musa, please step up.
Okay, brother.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
All right, Joe. All right.
It's kind of neat because I'm here. I can work from home and do tax returns. So while y'all were talking, I listened, but I did 5 tax returns. But I was listening.
Make that money, man. Make it.
Yeah, appreciate it. So inshallah, then I'm going to go and look into what I'm supposed to do with my life. Oh, I'm back to my office. I'm so pleased with this course has been good for me. I just repeat that. This has been good for me because it made me just go back and just get my act together about some things. So I said, no, you can't be telling people do A, B, and C, and you're not doing this. So I'm really inspired, to try to take my game to the next level. The price of gas, the price of groceries, I'm like, oh no, we got to do something different here. So
Yeah,
And-
same here.
Yeah.
Same here. I needed to prove to both myself and my family that I was going to be the message, you know, that I bring. So,
Right.
you know, we went cemetery shopping. You know,
Yeah, you tell us about that.
yeah.
So,
And I mean, it's real, you know, so I want to, you know, make sure, you know, I'll make sure to, you know, cover that, you know, as well in the whole process of understanding wills and trust.
Right.
That this is all a part of it.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we used to call that the Alpo approach, Imam
The
Tyler.
what?
Alpo.
Alpo.
That's what I
Right.
thought he said.
Yeah. We eat our own dog food,
Okay, all right.
right? I mean, you
Makes
know,
sense. Yeah,
if you're gonna push it, use it.
you gotta
Right.
use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
yeah, it's important. You know, it takes a lot of energy off the subject. When my daughter was passing last year, my youngest daughter went to visit her, and we knew that she was passing. She knew she was passing. So my youngest daughter wanted to know, well, how do you want the funeral? You know, what do you want? What song do you want played? She was an ordained minister. And so she was trying to get all her final wishes together, and a wheel. Can we go on and just draw up a wheel? She refused. She absolutely refused. She said what gown she wanted to be buried in, where she wanted the funeral. She was all on it for it, all the details except will. She absolutely refused to take care of her financial affairs. And that's where she had been in life. She didn't want to talk about it. She was an ostrich when it came to financial affairs. She was had an excellent job, you know, just a phenomenal woman. But when it came to money, she didn't want to. Right to the grave, she wasn't interested. My mother, on the other hand, oh, she was the soul of transparency. And as the years wore on, she gave me her policies, told me who this went there, this it. And then the companies, it started out with that coal miners insurance. And so it got bought out over the decades. And, but I knew everything. I knew where every dime was. I had my name on her accounts. It was so easy. You know, we buried mama I buried her like a Muslim. Within 48 hours, I had her in the ground, and everything was taken care of because she was transparent with that. I didn't have to figure out where it was. And, you know, I knew what this was. And so I'm doing the same thing. I showed my son yesterday when he came over, I opened up the drawer. I said, now in this drawer is my will, is my life insurance policy. You know, here are all the records about the house, the septic tank. You know, I got a lifetime roof and a lifetime septic tank, so don't buy another. And
you told him about the septic tank?
Told him about the septic tank. I'm planning on leaving the house to you. So you need to understand, you know, and
that's going above and beyond.
It's transparent to the nth degree, because I don't want you to get the house and not understand anything about the house, right? I don't put a lot of time and money in this place.
Right.
So, but my mother said that. My mother did that. And
right.
so
That's that generational piece I was talking about.
It was easy for me, you know, to talk about it with, you know, and I've done it with my children through various different steps, you know, in the last few years, you know, just at different times. I said, it's time for us to talk about this, my healthcare directives and all these different things. Because, you know, I saw my mother, she didn't die until she was 93. And by the time she passed, I was her spokesperson. I knew when she had a pain, you know, they asked a question, they asked me, you know, when was your last bowel movement? I knew that. So, but we have to be very, very upfront with our children and pass on whatever it is that we have to pass on. Because once that last breath goes, it's you take it with you. Too late, you take everything with you. So I'm gonna go. Thank y'all. I had a wonderful time with the class this morning. As always,
It gets better and better.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave you all, but y'all don't have to leave each other. So assalamu alaikum.
I'm going to be leaving out as well, but this has been real. I've got something I can walk away with, both from the presentation as well as the comments. I pray Allah bless all of you all and your families. And inshallah, I will see you next week, if not before.
Tomorrow morning, hopefully.
I forgot to, I wasn't able to get out to the print shop to get the polos, but they're ready.
Okay.
And so inshallah, I'll get out there and maybe try to pop in on Wednesday's marketing meeting. Should I get out there? But they are ready. Right. And Adam, I guess you got my text about the deposit I made recently to cover the monthly.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I did. Not talking to you. I did.
Okay, good. All right. Alhamdulillah. All right, brothers.
All right.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah.
Well, y'all take care of Lake Naslan.
All right. We'll see everyone. Thank you.
All right. Good deal.